Hi everyone. So just because I have been speaking about books recently in the past 2 weeks, I think, I've decided to speak about more books. So the bit I'm gonna show you over here is on an application that's called Scribd, and I will put all the information about it down below if you want to know more. But the whole idea is for me to speak about the books, so not the application I use on my very old tablet to actually read the books. So I've got quite a list, so it will potentially be a bit longer, but I'm very excited about all of these ones. So as you can see, it's long, but I do plan to read them slowly, bit by bit, just because I'm very excited for them. So the first one over here is an actual graphic novel. So it's a fiction book, as far as I understood, that speaks about Bertrand Russell, and I was very excited. I find his work very interesting, and I was like, this sounds very interesting. So it's quite short, 315 pages. So, and as a graphic novel, that sounds manageable. So this is the whole description of the book. To be fair, I'm not going to go through everything, but if you want to pause it and read it at your leisure, feel free to go over this. I'm overly excited, and I hope it will actually be very entertaining. The next one I have, that, as far as I understood, is another graphic novel, but it's kind of like a graphic guide, and I do have quite a lot of these ones, and I'm very curious about this one. Is about Descartes. So again, very interesting from my point of view, quite short, so I don't have to commit to a lot of stuff, just 301 pages. So again, you can stop and read it. I've got very excited about this. It is called an introduction, so I feel like, is it gonna deal more on like the philosophy, or as it says here, like go into like more specific science, math stuff? So still curious about it. On the same kind of idea, as you can see, I have quite a couple of graphic guides. So we've got this one on infinity. So first of all, the whole concept of infinity has been mind-blowing for me, and I have been loving to read anything related to infinity, any books or anything like that. I'm just like, yes, because it shocked me so much when I first heard of it that I just want to continuously read about it. So this sounds interesting. It could have the potential to not give me any new information, but I'm still curious to see how they present it, especially because it's a graphic guide. So I do expect to see a lot of like incredible, obviously it's a graphic, so a lot of like nice diagrams and interesting images that will help people understand infinity a bit better. So I'm very curious about this one. Now, this one, I've put it here, but I am not 100% sure how it's gonna go. It's just an introduction to mathematics in general, and I'm like, how much will it be in here in 381 pages and in graphic form? So it does sound interesting. It does sound like going a bit historical, and it does mention non-Western civilizations, so I'm curious how they actually implement this and how much they present of it. So they have big words like geometry, algebra, calculus, theory of the infinite, statistical reasoning, chaos theory. So it sounds like it could be a lot in just 381 pages. So I'm always a bit like meh about books like this that you speak about introducing math in general, being like, oh well. This one I'm a bit more excited for because it's a bit more specific. This is just about fractals. So, and a graphic guide that sounds already, oh my goodness, the diagrams should be fantastical. So yeah, again, I'm very excited for this. Unfortunately, I don't really know a lot of the maths in depth for it. I'm more fascinated by how it looks. So maybe this book is gonna maybe make me a bit more excited about the more in-depth maths of it, and I could actually start searching for more about it. But yeah, I think it sounds interesting for me, and I do expect like some really fancy stuff. So this one is more like a sciencey stuff. It's not like a properly just maths related, about introducing Stephen Hawking. So I'm curious. I'm curious what's gonna say. Yeah, I'm curious the maths that is gonna be presented in here, because I do feel like it's more obviously physicist. You do need the maths, all of that. But I'm curious. I'm just generally curious. And again, a graphic novel, so guide. So I kind of expect it to be quite nice. Introducing logic. Now, this has some interesting potential. Logic has always been like a bit on and off for me. I have tried doing more like in-depth logic a couple of years ago, and I've actually done a couple of videos on me trying to learn more logic. So I will put some down in the corner if you want to, and in the description if you want to check them out. I kind of stopped. I get the basis of it. I get a bit excited from some bits, but as a whole, it doesn't speak to me, if that makes any sense to you. But it is interesting, and I'm curious. I'm quite curious. I'm not sure how it's going to look like a graphic guide. Yeah, but I am open to it. Another one that I've put here that I'm honestly not incredibly excited, and it's probably not going to be the first one I'm going to pick, is Introduction to Statistics. I'm not... I think it's interesting, but it never caught my attention. I've never got incredibly engaged into all of this, so it could potentially be interesting. Maybe the examples they're going to use are going to be like fascinating because I like these things, but I'm always a bit I think this sentence here kind of describes me as well, because I see this in the media a lot. So statistics are routinely damning, horrifying, or occasionally encouraging. So I think it's just the way it's used that like put me off a bit, but I am curious. Also, as a graphic guide, I think it could potentially be one of the most interesting ones after maybe the fractal ones, so, and the infinity ones. So I think it has some potential. I'm not like over the moon to go into it straight away, so, but it's here. I would like to read it at one point. Then I have Introducing Game Theory, which again, I know just a little bit about it, so I'm not very familiar with everything related to this. And I find it interesting, and I'm actually curious to see if like this guide is gonna make me want to do some more research and find out more about the in-depth math about it. So it's interesting. I like the applications of this, so we're gonna see how I feel. Again, it's not one that I'm like, yes, this is the first thing I will read next. I tend to be like on the more like the fractals one, the infinity one, and more about like historical people, like So I would probably like go to the Stephen Hawking first or the Descartes first before actually going to those. So yeah. The next one, I kind of forgot where I stopped. Okay, so I've got another, as far as I understood, this is another graphic novel about this mathematician, but I'm not 100% sure. So he is just like, wow. Like there's nothing that we can say about this person without ending in a wow. And I'm actually curious how it's gonna present this in just a couple of pages. I hope it's not just gonna be like a info dump of stuff, and it's just gonna like nicely present everything. And I have the feeling it is a graphic novel, but I might be wrong. I might be wrong. I don't really know. When I first, I think the cover has to do with it. When I saw the cover, I was like, oh, cool, another graphic one. But it might just not be. So, very curious about it. Going on to books that are not graphic novels, or I'm 100% sure they're not. We've got Proof How the World Became Geometrical. And again, I'm more into like the visual stuff and how geometry is doing this and that. And the start of this description over here just made me very curious to see how exactly they're presenting this. And I got very excited because it starts on a cloudy day in 1413. A balding young man stood at the entrance of the Cathedral of Florence, facing the ancient baptistry across the piazza. As puzzled passers-by looked on, he raised the small painting to his face, then held the mirror in front of the painting. Few at the time understood what he was up to. Even he barely had an inkling of what was at stake. But on that day, the master craftsman and engineer Filippo Brunelleschi, if I pronounce names wrong, I'm really sorry, would prove that the world and everything within it was governed by the ancient science of geometry. So it kind of like this paragraph like sold it to me. I was like, sounds interesting. I hope it's presented interestingly. So yeah, 418 pages. Great. So I've put on my list. The next one I have is Pedia. Everything you ever wanted to know and a few things you don't about numbers. Now, this could go so many directions, especially because it's 839 pages. And I'm like, okay. Numbers is very like general. And the description here goes a bit like, what are you speaking about? Why do we have years? What's the number 67? Is this like proper maths, or is this like making connections and thinking the numbers are, I don't know. But it also speaks about like estimating number of miles, but I have no idea how like, why do we need to know the age of George Washington at the time of his death? I'm like, what is this? It's also on the trivia one. So does that mean you have just some random numbers and they tell you some connections? So I don't know. The next book is more for a laugh. The Cartoon Introduction to Calculus. I'm like, yeah, why not? Let's just see how will a cartoon look. Is it just gonna be incredibly silly or very interesting? So that's why it's on my list. I'm not overly excited about it, but I'm just more curious. And again, my obsession with fractals. We've got another little book. It's when I say little book, it's like 35 pages, so it's tiny. But yeah, how much can they say in 35 pages? I think it's just gonna be like a lot of lovely diagrams, which I'm all for it. Give me more. And then I've got a couple of other books on patterns because I don't know, I feel in the mood of trying some drawing related stuff that like feels more mathematical and just random kind of. So I've got a bunch of books on this. So I've got geometric patterns from patchwork quilts and how to draw them. So I'm just curious to see if I will be able to do this myself, and if I do, I will probably just film a couple of these ones. So kind of on the same bit, the 59 icosahedra. So again, I'm curious if this is gonna be a bit more like inside. Will I be able to, I don't know, make some sort of 3D shapes after this? They look very cool. I don't know, because it says make paper models of some or all of them, so I hope that after reading 64 pages of this, I will be like, yes, I want to make paper models of this. Kind of on the same with the Lattice Labyrinth Tessellations, kind of on the same idea. I just want to see more of these ones and see if I can create some myself. So that's kind of the reason for taking these books and putting them on my list, because this is a guided workbook that will show you how to construct. So I hope I will be able to do this myself, but who knows. Then I've got an audiobook, which, to be fair, this app has a lot of extra audiobooks, but I'm not really that good with listening to someone, especially when it's a math-related book. So I've put this one because I thought it sounded interesting, but I'm so and so, because I can never just concentrate on someone telling me the information. I have to actually physically see the information. So, but I've put it here just in case. It's one of the newest books as well. It was released in 2020, so I was like, you know what, let's just see. So it doesn't sound like something like wow. It could potentially just be very interesting as a whole. It has a couple of like words that are like nice when you speak about a book generally, about like maths. So, you know, I don't know. I'm gonna see. I'm also gonna let you know if the audiobook was any good, because that could be a thing. And again, with my kind of like drawing, creating stuff, I thought, you know, I've never done origami, like never ever, but I've read a couple of bits from time to time in some like general books about maths, and they do sounds very interesting. So a book about mathematical origami, geometrical shapes by paper folding. So I do hope this book is actually going to give me more of the inside of the more maths inside of all of these ones. So I'm very excited for this one. And yeah, 400 pages, that's okay. And ending with encounters with Euclid, how an ancient Greek geometry text shaped the world. So I'm very curious for this one, to be honest. Again, it's more like a new release kind of stuff, and it's about the elements of geometry, and I'm fascinated by that part. And I really, really, really want to read more about everything related to that and how it changed the mathematics in general. So yeah, these are the books. I'm pretty sure the app has way more books than that, and I will be excited after I go through some of these ones to see what else I can find. And yeah, I think, to be fair, if I look at these ones, the ones that I'm like very, very curious about, are maybe some of the graphic guides, and I will try them sooner. So maybe the infinity one, the fractals one, that's the one I'm like mostly excited for. Introduction to Calculus is a cartoon. I think it could potentially be really funny. Again, more on fractals. And then I really want to try some of these ones, at least have a look and see if I can do any of the things that they say in these books. So yeah, so that's kind of it. It's a random list, I know, but I just wanted to share some of these ones with you. And I do have a little bit of a question. If I try any of the patterns, or like creating any of the shapes, or like the tessellation, or even the origami, would you want me to film some of this one so that you see how I kind of struggle creating these? Because I'm very curious and excited for it. So I could potentially just try that, and you can see how good or not good I am at this, because obviously I've never tried it before, so I have no clue. But yeah, just let me know in the comments below, and I will try, and I might film it, and you can let me know. But yeah, that's kind of it. Very random. If you've read any of these books, also let me know, because I will be very curious, and it will kind of convince me which one to start next. So yeah, enjoy, and I will speak to you soon. Have a lovely day. Bye.